Hi everyone, my name is Miss Jenny, and today for our Fantastical Creatures Week, I will be showing you how to make your very own Fantastical Creature footprint stamp. Maybe yours will look something like this. To make your Fantastical Creature footprint stamp, you will need to find some styrofoam. Any type of flat styrofoam, you could use a styrofoam plate or a bowl. You can even recycle styrofoam meat trays that you often get at the grocery store, or maybe even a styrofoam lunch tray. You'll also need a pencil or a pen and some scissors, some type of glue, either glue stick or squeeze glue, and a piece of cardboard. Let's get started making your stamp. To begin creating your creature footprint stamps, use a pen or a pencil to draw the shape of your creature's footprint onto your flat piece of styrofoam. I do recommend to keep it simple and make it easier on yourself by using simple shapes or simple lines such as triangles, ovals, circles, rectangles, straight lines or wavy lines or zigzag lines to make the shape of your creature's foot and its toes or its claws. It's up to you if you want your stamp to be one footprint that you use over and over and over again, or if your stamp has multiple footprints on it. That is completely your choice. Once your drawing is finished, cut out all of your shapes with some scissors. Once your footprints are cut out, go ahead and arrange your footprints onto your cardboard piece. Determine the spacing. Where would you like those footprints to go on the cardboard? How far apart do you want those to be, or how close you want those to be? Once you have their placements determined, go ahead and use some glue to attach the styrofoam to your cardboard. Again, you could always use a glue stick or squeeze glue to attach that styrofoam. Let the glue dry completely before inking and printing with your stamp. Now that you have your Fantastical Creature footprint stamp made, it's time to start making some footprints. Next, we'll be applying ink to your stamp, and there's a few different materials that you can use as ink. You can always use any type of paint that you have at home. You would just also need some type of paintbrush. But if you don't have any paint at home, another really great alternative to use is any type of water-based or washable markers. If you do have these at home, there's something else you'll need to use in order to dampen your paper with water. You can always use a type of spray bottle to lightly mist your paper with water, or any type of sponge, paper towel, or even a washcloth dipped in some water will work as well. Let's go ahead and get started inking your stamps. Now that your creature's footprint stamp is all done and the glue is dry, we can begin to apply ink or color to the stamp to begin the printing process. If you do have paint at home, any type of paint, nearly any type of paint will work for this. Right here, I have some black Tupperware paint. I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in a very small amount of black paint and apply it to only the styrofoam sections of my footprint stamp. Try to avoid getting too much on the cardboard, as it might just be a little bit messy later on. As soon as you are finished applying your paint to the stamp, that's when you'll want to start printing onto your paper. I'm just about ready. Once you have your paint applied to your stamp, flip that over, choose a space on your paper, press the stamp down, and firmly press the back of it with your fingers and hands. Once you think you've pressed and rubbed enough, go ahead and remove the stamp to see what you've created. And from here, I can continue to create footprints that cover my whole paper by repeating that process of applying ink, or in this instance, paint, to my creature footprint stamp and printing those footprints over and over and over again onto my piece of paper. Just make sure you apply your paint directly to the styrofoam. As soon as it's finished, before that paint gets too dry, flip your stamp over onto a piece of paper, press down, give it a good rub all around, and pull your stamp away to reveal your masterpiece. If you don't have any type of paint at home, another great alternative to apply the color to your creature footprint stamp is to use some type of washable or water-based markers. I'm going to go ahead and stick with black, and all you need to do once you have your washable markers, go ahead and color right onto the styrofoam with whatever color ink or marker you want to use. Make sure you fill in all spaces, so go around the edges and fill in the center of those footprints. All right, so my stamp is all inked and I'm ready to go. But in order for this ink to transfer to the paper nicer, we do need to dampen or moisten the paper as well. And to do that, you can either use a spray bottle where you spritz it right onto the paper, or you can always dip a sponge or a washcloth or even some paper towel into a little bit of water. The trick is to make sure you don't use either too much water or not enough water. You want to get it just right. So if you are using a sponge or a washcloth, I always dip it and give it a good squeeze so that it's not soaking wet, just slightly damp to the touch. Next, I'm going to choose an area on my paper where I'm going to begin stamping, and I'm going to rub my damp sponge onto that area. One thing I look for is to see if the paper is slightly shiny from the water. You don't want to see any puddles of water or any water dripping off the paper. That would mean it's way too much water. But you want it to be just slightly damp, just enough so that it looks slightly shiny. Okay, so I think my paper is wet enough. I'm going to take my stamp that I've already applied my marker ink to, and I'm going to place that stamp on top of the area where the paper has been wet and give it a good rub. Once you think you've rubbed and pressed enough, go ahead and pull that cardboard away to reveal your print. Oh, and I think my paper was not actually wet enough. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that process. I'm going to first use my marker to reapply ink to my stamp. I'm going to dip my sponge in some water, give it a good squeeze, and this time I'm going to apply a little bit extra water than I did last time. Again, I'm going to make sure the paper looks nice and shiny, but I don't want to see any puddles. No puddles. If I do have puddles, I usually just squeeze my sponge out, spread those puddles around, or soak those puddles up with my sponge. Okay, I'm thinking this will work very well. I'm going to go ahead and take my stamp, flip it over, give it a good press and rub, press and rub. Okay, I'm thinking that will look good. Let's see how it turns out. Oh, much better. So again, notice the difference that the amount of water on the paper makes. This area, the paper was not quite wet enough. It was too dry, so the ink from the stamp didn't transfer very well onto the paper. This area, I think it was wet down just enough, just right, so that all the ink from my stamp transferred very well and is showing up nice and dark. So I am just going to continue this process of re-inking or reapplying the marker onto my styrofoam footprints, wetting down the paper with a damp sponge, and printing those footprints all over my paper to make it look like some sort of creature has been roaming around our art studios. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today and creating your very own fantastical creature footprint stamp with me.